Hi, welcome to the Market Alert for Thursday, the 1st of February 2024. So this is the morning after the night before the FOMC meeting minutes. Rates were left unchanged, and according to the press conference, Powell sort of destroyed any thought of cutting rates in March, which sends the markets lower. Stocks, bonds and yields and bullion puke after Powell pummels dovish dreams. So banks are not resilient. Another thing that turned up last night as well, mentioned this before. No March cut, all gains are temporary and QT ain't coming by March. So not good from last night by the looks of things. Hawkish Fed hammers dovish market, no cuts imminent, removes banking system soundness. So yeah, it looks like we could head into another turbulent March. And US stocks declined amid banking sector fears as Powell pushes against March cut. And hawkish Powell and regional banking fears weigh on market. So we've got regional banking back again. Now they've spent trillions on this in the last 12 months, buying out these banks, supporting banks and underwriting banks. So it's going to be interesting to see why this is back again and why it's going to continue. Well, we know why it's going to continue, and that's because rates remain high and the interest on the bonds that these banks had to buy when they were low are now all losing money. It's a mess out there, it really is, but it's interesting to see when you look at the markets, which we'll do in just a second, how they continue to make new all-time highs. It's just insane. 8 a.m, Lagarde speaking. Core CPI flash, OPEC meeting today. We've got monetary policy from the UK, so rates will remain unchanged there too. And MPC votes and official rate, and then Bank of England Governor Bailey is going to be speaking at 12:30. 1:30 US claims in readiness for tomorrow's non-farm, and then a couple of manufacturing news items as well. So quite a bit of news out this week. Let's move on, have a look at the markets and see what happened after Powell spoke and removed any chance of a rate cut during March. So starting off with the Dow, we can see that it was pummeled to the downside, but fear not. Could the market return back to make another all-time high like it did yesterday? 38,581. We're only 1,500 points or so of 40,000, and that could be the target for this market. It's never been there before, obviously, for making daily all-time highs, but 1,500 points is not a lot to get to 40,000. When we get to that level, it'll be interesting to see what the market does thereafter. But yesterday, it was sideways until Powell spoke at 7:30 when he did his press conference. The market sold off. The market currently above yesterday's low and close at the moment, but it needs to get back above that 200 MA and the 20 MA as well. At the moment it's struggling with both of those, so we could see a retest of the close or the low today as well at the moment, and also a follow-on from the night before. German DAX also lower, didn't make a new all-time high yesterday, but overnight you can see the market's nowhere near yesterday's low at the moment and trying to make its way back. What will be interesting here is to go from this high, so we go from that high to yesterday's low, and there you can see that we've got the recent high. If I just drag that across there, got the recent high and then the 89, so 60, the 17,000 basically is going to be an interesting area. It's also tying in with an 89% now as well, which is an area where there's generally some sort of weakness coming in. So keep an eye on the 17,000 if the market does move higher today. Yesterday it was just treading water until late on, and then once Powell spoke, the market was down. But overnight you can see that we're above the close and trying to get towards the DP at the moment. Prices are moving slightly lower overnight as I record this. Let's move on to the S&P. S&P down as well, no all-time high yesterday. Market's sort of holding above the low overnight. And there you can see again the Powell reaction, banking problems. That's anything that's going to weigh on the markets and send them south again for sure, because the wars have had no impact whatsoever. So if the banking crisis, as per the headlines, are talking about, then that will, the more that starts to gain momentum, the more of an impact that will have on the downside. The market above the close there as well, but still struggling with the averages on the downside there as well, so some weakness there. FTSE will be affected today by the BOE, and again you can see the low being tested overnight there, down with Powell. You can see that's down in the evening, and also we're just coming towards the low. It hasn't actually retested yesterday's low, although it looks like it on the daily. We've got an 89%, nearly 100% retracement. The market needs to get back above that close to have any chance of getting near the 200 MA, the 50 EMA, and the DP there. US dollar firm after Powell says there's no rate cut, which is an interesting one, because that wouldn't really, well, I suppose it would lend support because it's as close as it comes to actually increasing rates if you're going to leave them unchanged and not cut them in March. So yeah, at the moment by Powell's words. Let's have a look at the impact on the metals market. And silver down yesterday. Expect these markets to be hammered now to the downside based on Powell's comments, and retest the low that we've got in place here at 21.86. Won't take long to do that. Overnight already you're starting to see the market weaken after Asia, and you can see what impact it had at the time. So yeah, no trouble taking the lows out, keeping the metals suppressed. Gold maybe slightly different, moving up a bit there, but silver definitely going in for, or coming in for, a real hammering to the downside. And again, you can see there that price is shaking out in the gold market, up before shaking out, but the Asian market capturing a bit back there. So given the different picture of gold and silver, we can expect the gold-silver ratio to be up. So let's have a look at that. Yep, no problem at all. Back to the 92 we go, particularly over the next, with the non-farm payrolls tomorrow as well. So there'll be no problem or any issue getting back up to the 92 area whatsoever for the metals, as they continue to manipulate the price of the silver market. And let's have a look at yesterday's trades. So yesterday we saw the markets moving higher in the pre-market session. There were only two trades yesterday. There was a short to start off with, but the market already became sideways. It traded down to the 200 MA and then started to make its way back. No surprise really when you've got this support here. In order to get through either a 200 MA, BRN and a DP level, you need to drive with some selling. The market then moved higher and then found resistance at the R1 before then having a second attempt. And as you'll see this time, the market putting in those driving bars down towards the DP, where we saw some green inside the red, which means there was some buying. And at this level already out of the trade, as the market found support at the DP. However, it did break it and move slightly lower, then traded sideways for the remainder of the morning until it had a go later on, as you'll see in just a moment, at the low. So it was stuck in a sideways range. It looks more exaggerated in a 2-minute chart, but you can see we came back to the DP again just before we had the ADP numbers, and then the market sideways to lower, back to the DP, and then back into a sideways move before the market started to move higher at the start of the US session, but didn't hold, and then moving down back to a sideways move, then through the close and then the low, and then sideways to lower before the market then turned around and moved back above the low, and then back below the low, and then sideways as it waited for Powell, and then once again back above the low there. But we know what happened with the Powell speech, with the markets moving lower thereafter. So a quick look at the overnight market, see what they're doing. So the 2-minute chart, the market's sideways at the moment, but expect it to move lower and then bounce back. And in the daily chart we can see the market currently starting to make its way back there as well. Let's just have a look at the targets, jumping around a bit here. Just thought let's have a look, see where we are in the bigger picture. We're at the DP or just below it, above the 200 MA in the 2-minute chart. We've got the close, the low, and the S1 below this, and above we've got the R1 of course, and yesterday's high, which is a bit further up there. So we've got 150 points to the high, And down to the low we've got 70, so don't be surprised if the low gets retested before anything happens with the market going anywhere near the high. So there we go. Let's see how the markets pan out today following Powell's comments from last night. So with that, as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next.